I've previously mentioned my 4 favorite isekai stories and why I like them. Moonlit Journey Across Another World, The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, The Ideal Gigolo Life, and Nectar of Durrani. The characters are either adequately explained in why they are overpowered and it's not because of some god, or they're pathetically weak. And they don't use JRPG menu tropes to explain things. But in 2013, a story written by Ao Jumonji, one that took the isekai tropes and applied the one thing most isekai don't even try to utilize: consequences for failure. And this series' name is Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions. With the novel beginning in 2013, a manga would follow in 2015 and run for only 16 chapters. Then in 2016, the anime by A1 Pictures would air in the winter season with a total of 12 episodes. The mains of the story are goblin hunting in the forest, and immediately one thing is obvious: they're not good at this. A group of what I think is 11, but might be 12, I didn't exactly get the most accurate head count, wake up in a world of magic and fantasy with naught but a hazy memory and their own names. They form 2 groups, one with Renji as their leader, and one with Minato. It's the second group who are the protagonists of this story. Each of them joins a professional guild like a Final Fantasy job system and go through their training before reorganizing as a proper party. With the characters being amnesiac kids, you can expect the level of drama and conversations they'll have. Hormonal as teenagers are, and lost with only their peers to rely on. Struggling for both food and safety, but it seems like the group might actually manage eventually with Minato in charge. Day after day, they try to hunt goblins, the lowest tier of prey, and struggling even when it's a 6 versus 1 fight. But somehow they manage to stumble their way through it, with a particularly brutal finish. Then comes a period of character building, and that's one of the best parts about the writing of this series. All the mains have a level of amnesia, so they can't talk about themselves, but their habits display who they were and still are. Minato is the responsible type, taking care of the group as leader and going out of his way to care for the others, even taking on the role of healer and cleric. Haruhiru is a blank canvas, to the point that he's recommended to join the Thieves Guild. Much of the story is narrated through his internal monologue. Ranta is haughty and prideful. He's often blustering, but you can tell he just wants people to like him even though he doesn't really know how to be likable. Yume is friendly and social, but doesn't share her feelings often. She's also clumsy to the point that, despite being a hunter, she would stick with a dagger over a bow. Shihoru is passive and dismissive, she's got low self-esteem, and is not particularly skilled in her magecraft. She's also very self-conscious about being overweight, despite the rest of the party assuring her that she's not. And Moguzo is the gentle giant, being the tallest and strongest of the party. He also enjoys cooking, even if no one likes what he makes, though everyone actually does enjoy his food. The world of Grimgar really sells the struggle of living in these worlds of fantasy and magic. Most of us don't even think about the dangers, let alone the conveniences most of society has become accustomed to. The kids struggle with not just food and shelter, but even clothes become an issue as the ones they buy wear out quickly. So they need to get good quick, or they really won't survive. And it seems, to an extent, they do, even managing to take down more goblins at a time, albeit they still need to ambush them first, but they seem to be growing. Though in this world, small mistakes, moments off guard, can lead to tragedy. The ambushers become the ambushed, and in their retreat, Minato takes a bolt to the back. So who heals the healer? And suddenly the story goes from being a cozy, maybe they'll be alright fantasy, to a tragedy. They lose Minato, and no one takes it well. It's a heart-wrenching realization for what kind of situation they're in now. They didn't just lose their healer, they lost their leader and the big brother who was looking out for them. But it's not like they have time to grieve. They have to get back out there and continue hunting, or they'll starve sooner rather than later. But the first order of business is to find another priest. Then enters Mary, a not-so-friendly girl, with her own baggage and blunt personality, who immediately points out the problem. Who's going to lead them now? Grimgar isn't a hero's story. It's a horror and a tragedy about grief. While the 5 are trying to cope with losing Minato, especially Shihoru, who is crushing on him, Mary has her own grief to carry, and the party only starts shaping up after Haruhiro fully commits to the role of party leader. This story is a cruel adventure, with the cruelty coming from evoking the same feelings of loss the characters feel. It takes exceptional time to build the characters up to the point where you actually care about them, which makes losing any of them that much more devastating. We're not talking about a cop-out like Final Fantasy VII where Eris unsubs 1/3 of the way through. Damn it, I'm gonna tangent on this. Eris' scene wasn't sad, not even a little. It was infuriating. She wasn't a likable character, but the game built her to be the de facto healer of the party, and by the time she was removed, you're already 40 to 60 hours into a 200+ hour game. Now you're out your dedicated healer. Real shit tier game design. If you're gonna pull that bullshit, then at least keep the damn medic in the game until the last 10%, and build them up as someone the player genuinely cares for. That way you feel the hate against the antagonist. Stupid game that way too many commoners hold way too highly with rose-tinted nostalgia glasses. The story wasn't even very good. While the meat of Grimgar is the interpersonal stories of the characters and how they adapt to this world, the animation does some serious heavy lifting for the sparse combat segments. It really gives this feeling of weight and flow to their movements, not like most fantasy series where they swing a weapon and in that moment it almost seems weightless. A heavy strike looks heavy. Their combat is slow and deliberate. I hesitate to say it, but it's, in a way, very realistic. Even Shihoru's magic has gravity to its feel. But this is the kind of work you'd expect from A1. It's the same quality animation you'd see in Kaguya-sama, Black Butler, 86, Mashal, and Seven Deadly Sins. The audio direction for the show is also very well done, accenting scenes of peace and tragedy with Toho's own No Name. Grimgar being the group's first project, but newer weebs might recognize their most recent work for Spy and Family. And honestly, for Grimgar, the worst part of the show is that there's only 12 episodes. It's not a long series, but it's very heavy on the drama and emotions. And the manga is just as short, with the only real option for more story being the novels. So if you're just not into reading, or don't have the time to read dozens of volumes, this is all you get for now. It really is a shame that such a good series has been left on the shelf for over a decade. I really hope more gets made. There's a lot more story for it to tell, and there's a bigger audience for it now. And that's Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions. I am the NBT. This has been the Noble Weeaboo. Like or don't, sub or don't. Sometimes a sad series that cares more about the characters than the combat is worth it. Grimgar is that series. Grimgar is worth it. And thank you for watching.